Welcome to the program and the latest on the election campaign that's not halfway yet but already feels much longer. As the Prime Minister Julia Gillard continued to be dogged by media questioning on the man she deposed, she declared she'd have a proper system of cabinet government if elected and warned that any cabinet minister who didn't respect its confidentiality would be sacked. Amid ongoing speculation about the source of a cabinet leak that seriously distracted Labor's campaign, Ms Gillard maintained Kevin Rudd would play a senior role in her government if she's re-elected. Both leaders took their campaigns to marginal seats in Melbourne today, making new announcements on law and order and the disabled. Political editor Heather Hewitt.
Back in Melbourne and back on the bike in the early hours of the morning.
It's great. It's a great way to start the day. No better way to start the day than this.
Julia Gillard was in Melbourne today too, braving the streets to meet the shoppers.
Oh, thank you. I hope you like Danishes. Oh, I do like Danishes.
While Tony Abbott took his campaign to Windy Hill to talk Indigenous programs with the Essendon Footy Club and try to learn the basics of Aussie rules.
It's like John Howard playing.
I know, it's like
Someone was...
His theme of the day, though, was that old election campaign favourite, law and order, as he announced a national crackdown on gang crime.
Gangs are responsible for a significant and growing percentage of crime in Australia. And the gangs operate on a national basis. They don't just operate on a state and local basis. So what we will be doing is establishing a national violent gangs database.
Julia Gillard's focus was on disability, as she unveiled a $60 million fund for more community-based support accommodation, plus $122 million for early intervention and treatment of disabled children. And this.
Today I announce another step forward, a national disability strategy, the first ever. The first ever national disability strategy provides a long-term roadmap to improve outcomes for people with disability and their families.
Julia Gillard, in effect, lost a day of campaigning yesterday to deal with that damaging leak to Channel 9's Laurie Oakes that she'd argued in Cabinet against paid paternity leave and a pension increase. Today was to be a fresh start, but questions about the man she deposed continue to plague Julia Gillard. With many in government ranks still sheeting home the blame for the leak to pro-Rudd forces, the Prime Minister delivered this warning.
If the government is re-elected, then I will, as Prime Minister, have a proper system of cabinet government. And what that means is when you are in the cabinet room, you should have free and frank discussions. What it also means is when you leave the cabinet room, you keep those discussions confidential. If there is anybody in my government, if we are re-elected, that does not respect the confidentiality of Cabinet, then they will no longer be a Cabinet Minister.
At the same time, she stuck to the line she's repeated over and over since Kevin Rudd was ousted.
My eyes are on our election day on the 21st of August. Then, of course, I'll be talking to Kevin Rudd about playing a senior role in the team in a Gillard government.
But she's not talking to him yet and hasn't uttered a word to him since one conversation a few days after he was dumped.
Kevin Rudd is out campaigning as a local Member of Parliament in his federal electorate of Griffith. He's working hard.
There's concern among some Labor strategists that maybe he's working a bit too hard and that the daily media-monitored activities in his electorate are sucking oxygen from the Gillard campaign in the crucial state of Queensland. As for the opposition, it's not about to let go of the ready ammunition it's been handed by the leak to Oakes, and today it refined the response it will hammer for the rest of the campaign.
I think that the Prime Minister was confronted yesterday with a disintegration of her own government. I mean, what she was confronted with yesterday was evidence of an active campaign against her from the heart of her own government. She was fighting for herself, and I think we need to have more politicians fighting for our country.
The opposition, by the way, is yet to release on this campaign some of its key policies on areas like health, education and paid parental leave.